A very heartwarming good morning to one and all present here. Our today's expert of the session, Mr. S. Muralidharan, Chairman, Mobility Aftermarket Private Limited, and ex-regional president, Bosch India. Dr. Jyoti Desmukh, Group Director, Sagar Group of Institutions. Dr. Manish Billore, Principal, Systec Ratibad. Professor Kshitij Yugbodh, Head of the Department, Mechanical Engineering, Systec Ratibad, and convener of this National Symposium, Dr. Alkavani Agrawal, Professor and Head, Department of Automobile Engineering, and Dr. Abhishek Chaube, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Systec Ratibad, faculty members, and dear students. I, Dheeraj Kumar Singh, Assistant Professor from Department of Mechanical Engineering, welcome you all in this 3 days National Symposium on recent technological advancements in electric vehicles, jointly organized by Department of Automobile Engineering, UIT RGPV Bhopal, and Department of Mechanical Engineering, Systec Ratibad. Objective of this national symposium intends to bring together academicians and industry experts from different parts of the country to exchange knowledge and thoughts focused on latest research and work in the field of electric vehicle technology. Now, I would like to request our principal sir to welcome our today's expert of the session. Respected sir.
Thank you, Dheeraj sir. Good morning and welcome Mr. S. Muralidharan to this national symposium on the recent advancements on electrical vehicle. Yesterday we had a very good start of this event, sir, and I hope that this event, which is of 3 days, will be of huge benefit mainly to our students, which is our prime intention and focus for organizing this event. Secondly, our intention is also to generate some kind of vigor, some kind of energy, and some kind of momentum in the overall scenario in Madhya Pradesh regarding electrical vehicles. So, in that context, also, I hope that people like you, senior people like you, rather, would be able to guide us and suggest a lot of initiatives that we can take in order to have a long-term understanding and long-term development of this technology of electrical vehicles. I'm sure your expertise, your seniority, your words of wisdom will definitely add value to our motive of organizing this 3 days symposium on a national level. People like Mr. Pankaj Sonalkar, who has been a mentor to us for a very, very long time. Yesterday, he had taken a keynote address and definitely given a very good start to this 3 days symposium. With your expertise, I'm sure we shall be able to learn more and listen to you, taking a lot of motivation, a lot of encouragement in guiding our students further towards developing themselves in the understanding and development of the intricate details in the electrical vehicles technology. Let me tell you, sir, that this is not the first occasion that Systec, Ratibad, and UIT RGPV have been concerned about the electrical vehicles technology. We know that this technology is upcoming. We know that this technology is need of the hour. We also understand that very soon IC engines will be gradually losing pace in terms of technological developments, and the entire scenario will be dominated by the electrical vehicles technology. And that is why both of the institutes, rather not only these institutes, but our university also is very much concerned at how to inculcate the understanding, the theoretical aspects, at least, of electrical vehicles into the regular curriculum or training of the students. So with hope, with lot of hope of having a fruitful interaction today and tomorrow, I once again welcome you on board. With this, please carry on and guide us, enlighten us with your experience and wisdom. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Principal Sir. Now, I would like to request convener of this event, Dr. Alkavani Agrawal, Professor and Head, Department of Automobile Engineering, UIT RGPV, to share her thoughts regarding the session. Respected ma'am.
Ma'am, your mic is mute, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, we have some power supply problem in the department, and the mobile data is not working properly. Anyway, good morning to all of you. And as told by Dr. Billore, we are into the second day of this national symposium on a very important topic of our time. And I welcome Dr. S. Muralidharan ji for this technical session. Uh, a lot of details has been shared by Billuri ji. I would like to add only one thing, that he is going to speak on the battery aspects for electrical vehicle. And as you know, the importance of battery in electrical vehicle is all for is very important. It is like heart of the engine for conventional engines. It is we can say it is heart of the engine, and we should be everyone should know how to look after the heart of the engine, so that electrical vehicle can perform up to the best of their capacity. And we are very happy and lucky to have a eminent person like Mr. S. Muralidharan ji to speak on this uh, topic. I welcome Muralidharan ji. We all students and faculty and all of us are eagerly awaiting for your technical session. Let us start it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, before inviting today's expert of the session, let me give you a brief introduction of him. Mr. S. Muralidharan is a mechanical engineer from IIT Kharagpur and MBA from IIM Bangalore. He is currently involved in various positions as a coach, mentor, and consultant of startups, SME, and large organizations, largely in the field of mobility and education, both within India and for Europe, Middle East, ASEAN, and US clients. Some of the assignments include Chairman, Mobility Aftermarkets Private Limited, Technical Advisor of Goldratt Consulting, Zuri of Plan IIT Startups, Mentor of IIT Palakkad Startups, Principal Consultant, WA of Ventures, Mentor Udyog Patsala, etc. He is a member of International Coaching Federation and an Ericksonian certificate holder on coaching. In this field, he has coached over 50 SMEs, startups at board level, and given talks to over 100 such institutes. Prior to this, he was president of Lucas India Service Private Limited, regional president, Bosch India, director MHBI, and director Bosch Brakes. As an executive director, he has also supported the consulting company Frost and Sullivan. He has worked in several countries, including Germany, Europe, and Middle East. Backed with strong teaching experience in business schools in India and Germany, he is also actively involved in the growth and expansion of professional bodies like CII, ACMA, and AIAWA. He is a fellow Institute of Directors and has been recently inducted into Hall of Fame at World Auto Forum. Now, I would like to invite and request Mr. S. Muralidharan sir to share his words of knowledge with us. Respected sir.
Welcome.
Sir, sir, please unmute your mic, sir.
Every time somebody introduces me like this, I feel humbled. And I thank all the professors, teachers, directors who taught me right from my school days. उन सबको मेरा सादर pranam, because they have made me what it is. I'd like to have the first slide, please. To all the students, Namaste, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Salam Alaikum, wherever you're listening. The talk is on batteries. I'll be talking for about 75 minutes with the help of 30 slides. You're, of course, free to ask questions, which I will answer. And in case there's a disruption, I'll continue speaking and try and answer your questions. But I pray to the Almighty that the disruption doesn't happen. Let us begin. A little over 2 years back, a little known virus called COVID from a little known town called Wuhan changed the entire way the world looks. It is a pandemic. And one aspect this pandemic brought was how do we move when there's a lockdown everywhere? How do we look at our entire environment when there's so much in the breeze? And nothing was more affected than the mobility systems. It brought BS4, BS6, environment norms. It brought technology, artificial intelligence, digitization, Internet of Things. It also brought a variety of vehicles, of which one type is electric vehicles. Next slide, please. All of us have driven two-wheelers. Even before I was born, there was a Lambretta in the 1950 where it was run by a carburetor. It just moved from one place to another. That's the picture on the left. Today, the same two-wheelers, there are over 100 models on Indian roads and almost 40 models of two-wheelers. The complete generation has changed. From one color in a Lambretta or a Vespa or a Bajaj, Hamara Bajaj, now you have a choice of colors. And it is this particular market which is going to drive the change in electric vehicles in time to come. Next slide, please. How will the change happen? A very significant statement was made by Professor Bilore, who introduced. It's in time the diesel engine, gasoline engine will come down. What is the time? It is anticipated based on a lot of research that 21 to 23 will be last mile delivery. I want to go from my house to the college, from the house to the shopping center. That is last mile delivery. Then there are green enthusiasts. People will go for forest ride, golf course, environment. And people want to shift from ownership to leasing. Then comes in 23 to 25 cabs, city driving, and also very niche segments, city bus, garbage trucks. And only after 2025 to 2030, there'll be personal mobility. I will buy an electric car. I will buy a two-wheeler. And for intercity route, from Bhopal, I'll go to Indore by car, electric car. From Bhopal, I'll go to Sagar by electric car. The intercity route will happen. So this whole thing, which I'm going to present to you with opportunities, is for this decade. So the younger people who are listening to me will probably have opportunities to look for in this very important and new phase of business. Next slide, please. Which is the segments which will be penetrated. It'll start with the low-speed two-wheeler because the risk of fire, etc., is low. E-rickshaws already started in UP, the earlier Lombardi engines, those who remember mechanical engineering, the electric three-wheelers, city buses. Then comes high-speed two-wheeler, urban cabs, small commercial vehicles, light commercial vehicles, and finally, heavy commercial vehicles. Why am I talking of all this? I'm talking of all this. Next slide, please. Because the transition to this is based on energy. The energy transition is the biggest business opportunity there is. And the heart of the energy transition is batteries. Next slide, please. Let us understand what is a vehicle electrification roadmap across the voltage space first. Everybody knows of a battery in a car. It's a standard 12-volt lead acid. Earlier, you had to do distill water every day in the morning. Now you have maintenance free. That's the picture on the left. You also have other kinds of batteries, the 48-volt batteries for the microhybrid. But the main change in batteries is because it's here, from the 120 volt to the 300 volt, which is the nickel metal hydride battery, a rechargeable battery, and the chemical reaction of the positive electrode is similar to that of nickel cadmium. The negative electrode uses a hydrogen absorbing alloy. Nickel MH batteries can have 2 to 3 times the capacity of the earlier version, which means the higher energy density is there, much less requirement of space. And because of this scientific advancement, earlier wells need so much space for lead acid batteries. The lithium with manganese or with any other metal hydride has given birth to the EVs. What is the future? The future is in the 300 volt pure electric. The lithium polymer battery is a rechargeable battery, number one. It uses gels, semi-solid gels from electrotype, higher specific energy than lithium batteries, and used in applications, varied applications from mobile to drones and even some electric vehicles. What is the significance of this? If youngsters amongst you are very interested in scientific research, this is the space where you have enormous scope, because one form of pure electric is also metal air. हाँ, हवा से भी अभी बैटरी बनाने की संभावना है. A metal air electrochemical cell is one uses anode made from pure metal, but the cathode can be just ambient air, which has some moisture in it. And this is what is going to lead to hydrogen fuel cells, which is already there in many global markets. This, to me, is a great opportunity for people who want to do PhD, because even globally, this is a virgin field. In between, you have various phases of plug-in hybrid. On the y-axis, I put fuel and emission savings. It can vary from 10% to almost 40, 50%. True. That is the level of savings which exists, because these kind of batteries, with the help of nickel or manganese or lithium, or even the metal air in future, is significantly more energy efficient, significantly more emission efficient than the traditional coal, traditional fossil fuels, and also the traditional lead acid batteries. It is this technology change which makes people say electric vehicle is emission efficient. There will always be cynics who say that in Newton's laws of thermodynamics and Newton's laws of motion cannot be conquered. Hey, energy is always comes from the sun. True. But the efficient use of the energy in a battery, where in a small space you can pack 120 volts going up to 300 volts and save emission, that is what is becoming an electrified vehicle technology. Next slide, please. Now, how does the demand of this technology develop? Why am I talking on this? Because people will say mobile phones also had technology. True. In fact, the manganese series lithium ion was actually developed in 1996. Let me repeat that. The manganese series lithium ion rechargeable battery, world's first, was actually invented, discovered in 1996. It's only in 2002 that it became a bit more advanced. Why is manganese lithium ion battery important? It started first with mobile phones. Very simple mobile phones. They function in the same principle as any battery, but the cathode is based on manganese oxide. Why is manganese oxide significant? because it is abundant across the world. Lithium is a rare material. It's present only in some parts of the world. Therefore, lithium prices will go up, but manganese will not. It's inexpensive. It provides better thermal stability. So, a lithium manganese kind of battery, at the moment I'll just say kind of battery, slowly and steadily started using first in electric assist vehicles in China. It was just a bicycle which had a lithium ion battery, lithium manganese. Then into hybrid vehicles where you also had diesel, you had some gasoline, you also had lithium manganese. And that is the way it will move. Very soon, and I want to emphasize it, this will be used in residential storage system. When someone says, "Ghar mein abhi power chala gaya," you'll have some voltage fluctuation. That also, that inverter has a battery. But the stability of these lithium manganese batteries will be such that it can safeguard the voltage fluctuation much more, even for resident storage system. So please see the way in which the demand for this technology of batteries has changed with time. From simple mobile to two-wheelers to cars, and now even for big apartments. Instead of a diesel genset in a house or in an apartment, you have a distinct possibility of having lithium manganese. I won't call them batteries, I'll call them battery packs, because that's what it will be, entire storage system. So with the new technology which is there, yes, we can keep saying it's for EVs. But if there's a technical breakthrough, which is happening almost every day, even in India, you can broaden the whole scope of this topic to a variety of applications. Next slide, please. What does this lead to? What are the points I'm making? So in EV, the first thing is the energy source. We call it an energy source. Of course, I've spoken enough on battery pack. There's also a charger, which will come again. Obviously, there'll be battery production unit, there'll be battery cooling system. But the key change is the battery management system. Those who have done diesel engines know there's an electronic control unit, electronic diesel unit. In battery, there's a battery management system. It's the brain of the engine. The brain of the entire system is BMS, or battery management system. It protects the battery from operating in a safe operating area, which means what? When a petrol goes down in my car, I have a blinker which says, "Reserve pe aa gaya gaadi mein." The same principle the BMS does. When the charge goes down, it'll give a blinker. It is already there in a lot of newer vehicles and electric vehicles. More important, it reports the data right up to the manufacturer. So the manufacturer or the user wants to know how my battery is performing, how my vehicle is performing. He will have data, which means he will know Dr. Chaube in Bhopal uses his battery, he has to charge it every 60 hours. But in a Mofussil area, in Sagar, in Betul, in Hoshangabad, it doesn't last 60 hours, yeah? It lasts only 40 hours. This entire practical application of getting data is done by the battery management system. What is it for young students? For young students, it is an complete synergy of data science, because battery management system is basically data science. Earlier, data science was there, वो मैं तो IT का आदमी हूँ, मेरे पास है. Not anymore. Data science is a huge opportunity for a battery management system because it gets practically applicated across, and I want to emphasize, across the vehicle management system. Next slide, please. The energy source leads to a variety of components in the system. I love to show this slide because every time I talk on IC engines, people ask me, in IC engines, you have so many parts. You have engine, you have pistons, you have rods, you have... साहब इतने सारे parts हैं. Battery में तो कुछ भी नहीं है. EV में कुछ भी नहीं है. It's not so. It is not so. You have an electric traction motor. You have power control electronics. You have a DC-DC converter, you have a thermal system, you have a traction pack, you have charge ports, you have transmissions, you have onboard chargers, and you have auxiliary batteries. Yes, the shift is from mechanical parts to electromechanical parts. That is the shift. It's not that there are no parts. Next slide, please. And what does this lead to? It leads to enablers. The technical word is energy enablers supervisors. The enablers are power distribution unit, DC-DC converters, sensors. Earlier, it was a hard-coded electronic part. Today, in an EV, you need sensors. You need sensors for voltage, for current, for temperature. You need wiring harness. Earlier, you used wiring harness only to attach a bulb to a battery. It was a thin wiring harness. Arey, can be wiring lele yaar? What any mistri say. But you need a high voltage wiring harness because if you remember, the battery pack is some 120 to almost 300 volt. And then you have the supervisors, the vehicle controllers, your brakes, accelerators, and then you have driver information cluster. If done well, a battery can be diagnosed while it's being driven. An EV can be diagnosed while it's being driven. So you don't need a 1719 spanner, you need a diagnostic tool. Which means, it doesn't mean the mystery of the 1719 spanner goes away. It means he has a chance to be educated into a diagnostic tool, which the younger generation of mysteries, maybe they're ITI trained, they have a huge opportunity. The next point in this is in India, many of these parts are not yet manufactured. They're still in the design stage. Yes, there are a lot of people who have started a little bit. But this will lead to manufacturing technology of a lot of battery components. So for any educational institute, I started with IITs, now I'm sure in Bhopal you'll get it. Manufacturing science, manufacturing technology of these parts is itself a subject. And this is a subject which youngsters who are probably now listening to me will find it important and love to learn. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. No, just go back. I want the battery slide. Explore battery science. So till now, I spoke of battery science. And what is battery science? If I can take a 10-second Hindi. I am not from Hindi heartland. I am an absolute Madrasi Babu, right? But I have lived in Indore and I love that place. So let me try to say something in Hindi for a change. मैंने देखा, तूने देखा, क्या देखा? एक दुश्मन नहीं, एक बैटरी साइंस जो सब नवयुवकों के लिए प्यारा है. And I hope that acts as a motivation to the young engineers who are listening, that battery science, मैंने देखा, तूने देखा, क्या देखा? एक बैटरी साइंस जो नवयुवकों के लिए प्यारा है. Next slide, please. Whenever people talk of battery, they talk of price. Battery महंगा है. कहाँ से लूँगा मैं battery? It cannot be same. In 2010, per US dollar kilowatt hour, the battery pack size was 1,220. In 2021, it's $132. There's a 41% fall in battery prices in the last 5 years because of all the technology changes which has happened. You don't have lead, you have nickel manganese, and nickel manganese, then you have all the parts around it. And then there's also a change in the manufacturing process. And the next few slides, I'm going to go deeper on the manufacturing science of batteries, the manufacturing process. So when people keep telling you battery महंगा है, no sir, it has started coming down. International prices of batteries have significantly started coming down. 41.6% fall in battery prices in the last 5 years. So let us understand a bit more of the manufacturing science of batteries. Next slide, please. There are two aspects of manufacturing cost. First is the manufacturing cost, where if you understand this graph, the blue shows the raw material cost is 77% of the manufacturing cost of a battery. In India, we always say labor महंगा है उसीलिए labor cheap है. Labor is only 8.3% of the cost. Depreciation is only 7%. Electricity is only 2%. Maintenance is only 2%. Raw material cost is 77% of the cost of batteries. It is very important for us to understand this deeply, because if you break up the raw material component cost, which was on the right-hand graph, the anode raw material is 14%, the cathode is 45.8%. Now you'll know why people are even experimenting with air as a cathode. हवा में कुछ moisture होगा, उसे हम लोग बना लेंगे. That is what is behind it. So the anode and cathode is the cost. Second part is manufacturing equipment, is 22.9%. Today, a lot of this manufacturing equipment for battery cells and battery packs is not available in India. We have to import it from China, Taiwan, wherever. And this is a huge opportunity of Atmanirbhar. So those who are making machines for auto companies, the same people can be motivated to make for battery equipment. The clusters around Pithampur, which made for Indore and all the vehicle manufacturers in Pithampur, they can be motivated, in my view, because I've done it in Coimbatore and I've seen it happen in and around Faridabad. So the same kind of companies can be guided, motivated, technology provided, and it'll also act as an employment opportunity for our own people. And the Atmanirbhar manufacturing equipment is one more possibility. But the real possibility is cathode and anode. The more and more science you develop in this, more and more the cathode anode costs come down, and therefore the prices will come down. I'm not in a position today, largely due to shortage of time. What are the developments which are happening in cathode and anode? It's a subject for final year students or even MTech students or master's students. But that is where the thrill is. If you want to go in for design, if you want to go in for PhDs, that's where the real work is. Next slide, please. What are the other battery technologies which is there? One is lithium ion. I'm just giving you some hints which I've spoken. People also trying with lithium sulfur. There's lithium metal. Lithium metal here includes sodium. There's a large group in India which has gone in for sodium-based batteries. They've already got government permissions. They're establishing. I don't want to mention the name of the group for obvious reasons, the public forum. Like lithium metal, there's also sodium which is coming in batteries. But why am I mentioning it? Because this is one more area for people to go deeper in. There is solid-state batteries. There is those on the left, lithium ion, lithium sulfur, lithium metal, solid state, all give very high wattage, very high, 200, 300. Some work is already happening in India. So those on the left. The ones on the right, metal air, I mentioned, not too much work happening in India. Lithium ion with silicon anodes, supercapacitors, and people are actually thinking of organic batteries. It's a very advanced stage. I'm mentioning it so that today you know that battery is not just lead batteries. From lead batteries, we have lithium batteries. From lithium batteries, we have even sodium batteries. And we have very, very future technology as metal air, lithium ion with silicon anodes, solid state, organic batteries. These are just very nascent and will be of interest for very senior students. But if you move on from battery technologies, next slide, please. I want to spend a couple of minutes on this slide. Who are the existing EV battery manufacturers? Number one in the world is cattle. Cattle का मतलब नहीं है भैंस वाला cattle. Okay, CATL is cattle. Who's cattle? Cattle stands for Contemporary Amprex Technology company. It's a global leader providing solutions for new energy applications. Where is it based? It's based in China. So gone are the days when Chinese will have Ching Chong and all those as names. They now have very anglicized names like cattle. When was this founded? Just 2010. So those of you who are feeling scared, your startup succeed hoga ki nahi, have courage. People have become global leaders in 10 years in batteries. Who's the number 2 in batteries? It is LG Green. LG is no stranger in India. As a group, LG, everybody knows LG. LG TVs, LG equipment. But they're also, and if you look at their web page, look at the introduction. Future energy industry. We're developing advanced automotive battery, mobility and IT battery. Just imagine. There's a lag somewhere, I think. Okay, so there's an echo. So just imagine LG is positioning itself for automotive. They've already given samples for Tesla, Jaguar, Audi, Ford, GM. It's based in Korea. So battery manufacturing is no more a theoretical place. It is happening in the world. Which is the third biggest manufacturer? Panasonic, 14.7%. Panasonic again is a household name. Everybody knows Panasonic. Right? Major Japanese conglomerate, headquartered Osaka. There from 1918. It started as a light bulb socket manufacturer. Today it makes these batteries. What is the significance of this? The significance is not just cattle, which is a new player has entered. Even the older people have entered the space. What is the second significance of this slide? The second significance of this slide is the top 10 EV battery manufacturers are in Asia. Top 10 EV battery manufacturers are in China, Japan, Korea. Look at the geopolitical shift. For fossil fuels, it was Middle East having oil. All the real satraps, the kings, were in Europe and maybe US. When it comes to EV, complete shift towards Asia. We have to understand this very deeply. So when there's a lot of resistance to EV, you know why the West is resisting and the East is saying, let us have it. ये थोड़ी गौर से समझने वाली बात है. There's a geopolitical shift which has happened in vehicles. अगला सवाल नेचुरल क्वेश्चन है. अभी हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? भारत में कुछ हो रहा है कि नहीं? या हम लोग सो रहे हैं, बकबक कर रहे हैं? And I'm asked this every time. सब आप लोग बोलते रहते हो. I've faced this. So next slide, please. No, India has also moved. The top 3 manufacturers in India have started for EVs. Lucas TVS, where I worked a few years back, has tied up with 24M Technologies and investing $343 million US dollars, 25 billion Indian rupees in Chennai. It's a Chennai-based company. It's a 10 gigawatt. Please let the slide remain, please. 10 gigawatt capacity plant. Cell production expected second half 2023. बहुत दूर में नहीं है. Next year itself. Amar Raja, everybody knows Amar Raja. Most of the car batteries are already Amar Raja. Establishing a $1 billion US dollar 10 gigawatt factory. They want only Telangana, AP, under the ACC PL1 scheme. They've already approached the government. There's a PLI scheme. So they're using that. And they'll have some benefit for 5 to 7 years. Excite. Excite has gone for a greenfield multi-gigawatt lithium-ion cell factory. They're also participating in ACC PLI-1 scheme. Which means established players, maybe we are a few years behind, but we're not really behind. थोड़े पीछे हैं, लेकिन उतना पीछे नहीं है. The 3 established brands have started site, and I know because I've seen these sites, at least the first one, so they started. But what about the rest? And that is even more interesting. Next slide, please. Let's stop. There are three others in very advanced stage of discussion. And these are the three new biggies into the Indian market. C4V is a global company. And why am I mentioning C4V? Not just because they're global, it is headed, believe it or not, by an ex-IITian, an Indian, a person who was my junior in IIT, Shailesh. He has developed a battery technology. Why am I mentioning it? I'm mentioning it because tomorrow, Dr. Any of the doctors here, Dr. Manish, Dr. Abhishek, any one of you can be motivated. You people can do it in the future. It's the same Indian who studied in Kharagpur, went to US, is setting up C4V, a global company. बहुत दूर नहीं है ये मंजिल. Second is Greenco Group and Charge. It's a finance firm, but they have a lot of discussion with Hyderabad, Telangana. And then you have Lithium Energy, which wants a pilot line. Why am I mentioning Lithium Energy? Because it is a startup. It was formed only in 2019. So when we read a lot about these startups, startups unicorn, this has potential to be in that. So in India too, we have two categories of manufacturers. One, the traditional, Lucas, Amar Raja, Exide, who are already setting up plants, spoken to the government, working on it. And then you have the three newcomers, C4V, which is globally headed by an ex-IITian, my junior, a Greenco Group, and also Lithium Energy, which is a hardcore startup, real hardcore startup, 2019 formed. Okay. Next slide, please. Fine. Why are they setting up this? I've tried to analyze this only not for the sake of any political reason, not just to know why people are setting up manufacturing base. If we take all the states, there are four categories on which all government, state government, central government are supporting. Some are capital subsidies. Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana are supporting capital, giving capital subsidies. Some are supporting tax and for interest, again, Karnataka, Kerala, but also Orissa, also Telangana. Some are giving land development, example, AP, and a lot of people are giving battery recycling initiatives, a lot of benefit from Delhi. And here MP is also giving. MP is not, to the best of my knowledge, not giving for capital, tax, land, to the best of my knowledge, but they're giving for recycling. Why is it important? Not just because you have to set up a plant, but many times you need support companies, the small scale industries. The small scale industries, I'm repeating again, were earlier in Pithampur, trying to make parts for the big companies. Now can make these components for these bigger companies, for Lucas, of Exide, of Amaraja. They are trying to do it where the Hyundai sector was there in and around Chennai. They're trying. Some work has started. Second, battery manufacturing is an opportunity for youngsters like you. You will grow with the manufacturing. So if educational institutes can give a topic, a subject on manufacture of batteries, you don't have to worry. अरे वो fuel injection का manufacturing हो गया, mechanical engineering क्या manufacture करेंगे? You don't have to worry. There's enough science in battery manufacturing which will make all the youngsters employable in the next 3 to 5 years. Not 3 months, but 3 to 5 years. Next slide, please. And for those who wonder how many, I'm not going to go deep on this slide. This is just to show that any number of small companies have started investing in battery manufacture across the country. Green means where they are. I do not know the details of many of them, but I do know that this manufacturing, just like an engine component, some people make only cells, some people make packs, some are assemblers. All of them need people. In fact, the biggest request I get nowadays is, "Sab aadmi dilwa do mujhe." They actually say, "Aadmi dilwa do." And I keep laughing to myself. On one hand, I keep hearing youngsters don't have jobs and are searching. On the other hand, many of these companies come and say, "Murli sir, aadmi dilwa do." This is what can be matched if we all together start working, have courses on skilling with respect to battery manufacture, courses with respect to training people on battery manufacture. So the youngsters who want to stay in battery manufacturing have an opportunity. Again, let me emphasize, it's not a 2-3 month opportunity, it's a 2-3-4-5 year opportunity, right? So this is on manufacturing. Next slide, please. Again, these are some capacities to show from Himachal to Haryana to UP. You have small companies. These are not the big full-size companies. These are smaller companies which are also entering. This is just for information's sake. Next slide, please. So please pause. So let me try once more to give a small thing in Hindi so that people don't laugh that a Madrasi Babu has come teaching in Bhopal and not speaking in Hindi. सुन बाबा सुन प्यार की धुंध मैंने तो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल बैटरी चुन ली अब आप भी मुझे चुन 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 सुन बाबा सुन प्यार की धुंध मैंने तो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल बैटरी चुन ली अब आप भी मुझे चुन 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 So we touched battery science, we touched battery manufacture, but in India, the biggest thing is service. Because whatever we buy, it's from womb to tomb. Service मिलेगा सर? Warranty देते हो? कितने साल के लिए देते हो? These are top of the mind. And in battery, where I'm used to going to a petrol station, filling up petrol, I can send my driver to a car to a station and fill up diesel or petrol. How do I charge my batteries? It's a genuine top of the mind thinking, which everybody has. Genuine. It's a genuine doubt. So in the next section, we'll deal a little bit on battery service. Before that, Dr. Abhishek Chaudhary, in case there are any questions you want me to answer straight away, you can tell me. But if you feel you're able to hear and things are going on smoothly, just raise 2 fingers or just do whatever. Okay, so you want me to proceed. I have no problem proceeding. I just wanted to make sure that there are not too many questions, then I'd have paused. So we'll now talk a little bit about battery service. Next slide, please. The key of battery service is the entire charging operation using EV chargers. You'll see 2 lines on the chart. I hope you can see. One is a full line. Full line is the real charging operation, current. The dotted line is more important, which is the information flow. Here again, if you recall, about half an hour back, I spoke on BMS, the battery management system. The battery management system or the network controller is really the brains of the charging station. It enables the station to communicate with its network so that any manager anywhere can monitor. Charge karna hai, nahi karna hai, kitna charge karna hai, can monitor. The brains is the BMS. In between, you have charging guns, onboard AC-DC converter, protection service before it reaches the battery. These are the real charging station ka kaam. When you go to a petrol pump, you have somebody filling up petrol. When you go for a charging station, this is the charging station work. It oversees basic charge functions, turns the charger on off, meters power usage, basics. And then finally, you have power control unit, which is also there on the vehicle. Today, even in a two-wheeler, on the dashboard, you'll have a signal to show that the battery charge is coming down. 3 years back, you always had a worry, charge khatam ho jayega, main kya karu? But just like you have a petrol to show it has come in reserve, all the new two-wheelers, EVs which are coming, have some kind of a display which shows the charge is coming down. And that is where I'm repeating the point. When you enter EV, it is not just the battery manufacturing. The BMS is an entirely traditionally data management, data science. What people said is IT department. When it comes to battery, there's a complete integration of electronics, manufacturing science, as well as data science. And this, for me, is an incredible scope because India has always been very strong in IT, very strong. And this is a scope by which we can progress further. So, next slide, please. What is the single biggest problem in this entire charging stations? For me, the challenge is the number of charging plug points which are there. I've deliberately shown this slide. You have AC chargers, you have plug points, type 1, type 2, type 3. For DC chargers, you have plug points. Then Tesla has its own charger, Tesla supercharger. Then there are combined charging systems. This is just like in mobile phone. For every mobile phone, I have a different charger. The same principle people have applied for an electric vehicle. The advantage is if you know how to make these charging ports, you can set up your own small scale industry. So this is also a manufacturing possibility. Those who are making plug points in a house for batteries or for lights, those electricians are the people, the SMEs who can manufacture this. But today is seen as a challenge. So next slide, please. Why is it seen as a challenge? It is seen as a challenge because there's no global standardization. China, which was the number one, which started, have most of kinds of this. Then Australia, South America have another standard. America has its own standard. India, as usual, have many standards. So this is why this plug point is an opportunity because small-scale industries can make it, but it will remain a challenge till globally it gets standardized. It'll take time. Next slide, please. Who are the key players in the EV charging market? Who are the chargers? Then some of the names should be very interesting. NTPC, BHEL, Tata Power. Why is it interesting? Those who are distributing traditional electricity now have entered the charging market. So in its own way, it will generate employment with these bigger companies. You won't know it immediately, but it's in its own way. If PHL says I'll establish 1,000 charging stations, it'll generate employment. Same with NTPC, same with Tata Power. And just like all aspects of EV business, you have real newcomers, lithium, magnet power, EESL, charge zone. You have the real newcomers also here. The real newcomers are the startups, the entrepreneurs. How many will succeed? I don't know. But are they trying? Certainly, yes. So it's a duty to encourage these newcomers. I'll leave it at that. Next slide, please. Have any of these chargers been established? How does it look? I don't want to mention the name of the company, but I've taken this photo. Why have I taken the photo? Number one, in one city, Gurugram alone, there are 96 charging stations established in one city. Number two, see the way the charging station now looks. It's like any other petrol pump station, right? Can anybody say this is any way different from a petrol station or a diesel pump station? It's just like any petrol station. You have a charging point, which is here. I don't know if you can see my marker. And you just plug. Number three, this photo for me is for keeps. You have an older man with a smile, but you have a youngster wearing a suit and standing next to it. This to me shows the generation change which is happening. Earlier, when you had experts in fuel injection or diesel, you'd only have 5 such older people. And this, to all the young people who are listening, ये आपका मौका है, ये आपके लिए है. Right? This is where the generation shift is happening from one generation to another with an unknown company opening 96 charging points in a big city, fairly big city like Gurugram, and the charging station looks like any petrol or diesel station. Charging in India has arrived. But that alone is not enough. A lot of Indian customers, particularly the three-wheelers, feel साहब ये बहुत टाइम लगता है चार्जिंग के लिए 2-2 घंटे लगते हैं 3-3 घंटे लगते हैं 4-4 घंटे लगते हैं. It's a valid point because if you're running a vehicle and you just have one three-wheeler to run, you may not be able to spend 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours on it. So there's a solution for that. Next slide, please. Stop. So you have a concept called battery swapping. Swapping is I give my old battery, I get a recharge battery, I fit it on my vehicle and go on. That's it. पुराना दिया, charge battery लिया, fit किया, गया. And all the mistries love it. They just love it because they thought, what will happen to me when the EVs come? Now they find, instead of filling air in the tire and changing the punctured tire, I'll swap the battery here. Right? The three-wheeler is the largest adopter of EVs in India. And the key business model for EV is battery swapping. Why do the e-rickshaw drivers like it? It avoids 3-4 hours of downtime. And battery cost is de-linked from vehicle, reducing upfront cost. It's a big headache for many people. For 3 hours, 4 hours, my vehicle will not run. Now that is removed. My vehicle doesn't run, I'll have a loss of, I'll lose, that is removed. I just swap. Remove my battery because I have an indicator showing, and remember, all new vehicles have an indicator showing charge status. I remove it. Take a recharge battery, fully charged, put it, start. It happens in seconds. It happens in minutes. The mystery loves it because he's got an avenue for business. Many of them, the vehicle owner loves it. So, and this is what is now coming much more popular in India today. Next slide, please. I will not show the video. Okay, next slide, please. I have a video on this. This is how a swap station looks. Don't go by the brand, right? Because they've done it, I have to see it. They made it in a way that it looks like simple petrol station or a diesel station. That's how it's been designed. Why? For 50 years, Indians are used. This is how the petrol station is. Second, many of the existing petrol and diesel pump stations feel, and they said it genuinely, why can't I have a battery station? गाड़ियाँ तो मेरे पास आएगी. So that time, can I have a charging station? So they made it look very much like that. The existing diesel and petrol pump stations can have similar equipment. They have the similar land. They have similar mysteries. So it looks very much, and most important, people like me know, वहाँ जाऊँगा हबीबगंज के पास एक पेट्रोल पंप स्टेशन है, वहाँ से करा दूँगा. इंस्टेड ऑफ पेट्रोल पंप स्टेशन एक चार्जिंग स्टेशन है, वही हबीबगंज, वही जगह में. So this is how the picture will look. How does it be a little more? If I have to look a little more in detail, how does it be? Next slide, please. And it's as simple as this. Deliberately chosen a young lady. She removes the battery. You see the green things in the back. She puts in there, takes one more battery and puts it back. That's it. That's it. Yes, if there's a mystery or somebody close by, he'll lift it and put it for her, which is normal. Nothing unusual in that. If some mystery or somebody is there to do it, because there'll always be somebody who will support this entire operation. So the advantage of it is in the front end. It's very easy for Dr. Abhishek or Dr. Manish or for Murli or even Murli's wife and certainly Murli's son and daughter or niece. Gaya, फिट किया लेके आ गया. The real science is backwards. The real science is all these older batteries get taken back. They are recharged very scientifically. They are recharging centers established. It can be the service station of distributors. Their centers established. They are put back. It has to be maintained. So setting up the center is the science of battery recharging. The end user is not at all connected to this. He has complete benefit. There are very sophisticated ways on which this is done. Yes, is the government supporting? Yes, I know for a fact it's there in the press also, of finalizing incentives under new battery swap scheme. They're giving incentives. Whoever can have set up stations, whichever part of the country. I don't know the details, it's not yet published, but I know it's there. Second, there are international companies which are very sophisticated in this. Gogoro, the picture here is Gogoro. I have no problem mentioning the name. It's a Taiwanese-based company which has really made it across Taiwan. Yes, Taiwan is a very small state. But if you can do it for Taiwan, you can do it for NCR. You can do it for Taiwan, you can do it for a big city like Mumbai or Bangalore. Is anybody working with them? Already 2 Indian companies, 1 two-wheeler manufacturer and 1 component manufacturer have a technical understanding with them to set up. This again, to me, when it comes to service, this is a huge opportunities for educational institutions and for youngsters. Because many people like to do the servicing, repair karna. It's a major chance. And even if you get people from these companies which have a tie-up to come and make presentation or explain to you or set up demo centers in your labs, that itself can be huge progress in terms of learning. It is also psychologically a good solace for all the mechanics who are there somewhere or the other who feel, Abhi mera kya hoga dhanda? Set up a service station, set up a charging station, set up a swap station. So it gives them an opportunity. In addition, of course, the end users find it extremely easy. Let me pause for a couple of seconds because I realize I've already crossed 1 hour. Yeah. Sometimes when I keep talking, no time flies. So, Dr. Chaubey, any questions? जो आपके पास है, पढ़ा हुआ है, आ गया है, अभी जवाब दे दूं?
Sir, may I?
If you want to continue, say this because I'm going to just kind of wrap up. But if you have some urgent questions, you straight away ask.
Wants to some questions.
Sir, sir, do you think the future is in having a LPG cylinder-like model for battery swapping? Is it
It will
possible?
be like that, madam. It will exactly finally be like that. That's why I show that picture. Can you go back to the picture? That big battery is almost like a small LPG. Right. And I know for a fact that startups are trying to keep such a swap station in large apartments. In Noida, when you have some 300, 400 flats are there, there's no need for people like me even to go to a swapping station. Just like Big Basket and others have a simple stand for groceries, you have it. And this is just like a very small LPG cylinder, maybe a 1 liter cylinder. So the idea is 100% right. This is the way the whole technology is moving, the whole work is moving. First, all the batteries will be just like cylinders. Number 2, these stations can be established in even very, very big apartments. There are 400 flats and 500 flats. So you don't even have to go out. So the whole direction is only in that way. Okay. So Dr. Abhishek, can I move? Madam, सवाल का जवाब मिल गया. मैंने answered the question. Any other question?
Right, sir.
One question from the student side. What percent of lithium-ion battery remain in the cost of?
I can't hear.
Your audio is not clear, Abhishek.
Okay. May I audible now? May I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, much better. Much better.
Yes, sir. Sir, what percentage of lithium-ion battery remain in the cost of vehicle in India?
Sorry,
Sir, he
Dr. Abhishek,
wants to
I'm not
know,
able to hear.
am I audible, sir? He
Yes.
wants to know the cost component of lithium iron battery in a vehicle. I think if what I have understood.
Yeah. It's I've shown it in a slide. It's about $121 per kilowatt hour. It has come down from $1,200 per kilowatt hour. Battery, EV vehicle battery is the only product I know where the cost has come down by 41% in the last 5 years. It's
Yes.
just about $120. It's projected with the science which is being developed to come to even just $100 per kilowatt hour. Okay. So जो भी पूछा, चिंता मत होना कि बैटरी महंगा है, because it's a very big thing in all our minds. Battery महंगा है. No, enough science is done both for product as well as for manufacturer to bring it down. Any other question on this?
Sir, one
Yes,
of our
sir.
yes, Dipti ma'am, continue.
Okay, sir, one more question is, as you talked about the lithium magnetized battery, sir, what is its charging density and charging time when we compare to the lithium ion?
Lithium ion is just a phrase, common math phrase. Along
Yes,
with
sir.
lithium ion, you always have some metal. Sometimes it's manganese, right? Sometimes it can also be sodium. It's a basic anode cathode principle. Why is manganese used, to answer your question? Not because of charging density and charging capacity. It's comparable to anything. But manganese is available in all parts of the world. Sasta hai, right? Whereas some more rare earth material, some of the alloy steels, maybe they have a better charging density, but people don't use it because of cost. Second factor, nickel, somehow people, China has dominated all the nickel mines in the world. खरीद के रखे हैं वो लोग, right? So everybody feels a bit scared. ये वो बाकी भी खरीद लेंगे तो क्या होगा हमारा 10 साल के बाद 20 साल के बाद. There's a fear, right fear, wrong fear. I don't want to get into it. So to answer your question, nickel with manganese is both cost effective and energy density is okay. Second, nickel with specific alloys has better energy density, but the cost is prohibitive. So people today use nickel and manganese. Okay, have I answered your question?
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
Sir, one of our student has asked one question that what will be the safe way of battery disposal after its use because it will be hazardous.
Battery disposal is not hazardous. It has to be done properly. Today also you have lead acid batteries. जिसको कूड़ा में बेचना है वो तो वही करेगा. It will be hazardous, right? But what has happened today? And then I'll tell you what will happen tomorrow. Today, as a process, you can take all the lead acid batteries which has no charge to smeltering plants. The smeltering plants will bring out the useful lead, and the rest will be the real waste. The useful lead can be used by manufacturers to do it, make it again. Identical principle will work when you have smeltering plants for old lithium manganese, lithium sodium, whichever lithium. Okay. The smeltering process is a science. In India, it's still developing. But as I showed you, a lot of state governments are giving incentive to set up battery recyclable plants, projects. Finally, so first there's a possibility of reusing lithium, if not lithium, the manganese, some other metal, high possibility. And finally, if as a society we are not responsible, be it lithium-ion batteries, be it tires को जलाना ही है कहीं जाके धुआं तो आएगा ही. Right? So as a society, if we are not responsible, it will be a problem. Next question, Professor Dheeraj. Okay. Any other question? Otherwise, I'll just like to start summing up. Go back to the slide, please. Please keep this picture in mind. I love ma'am's question. It is just going to be another small cylinder. And maybe if people are imaginative, they'll even keep it in their house, just like they have an inverter battery. And when the time comes, मैं खुद कर लूंगा. A DIY is definitely possible. But maybe that takes 3 years, maybe it takes 5 years. There's a lot of science involved in this.
Much work has
Next
to be
slide,
done.
please. A lot of work has to be done. Now, again, people ask, and keep asking, ये सब थियरी बता रहे हैं या कुछ हुआ? So I've taken newspaper snaps to show 10 lakh EV scooter battery swaps has happened in India already. So it is not some theory which is being stated. Yes, it's a bit more in Bangalore, Pune, a bit less somewhere else. And Netha Energy has set up 1,000 charging stations. And as a marketing gimmick, they said they'll give you free service 1 or 2 years. It's more marketing. But point here is these things are happening on the ground. Charging stations are happening on the ground. I've shown you in Gurugram 96 station. Ather has a plan of setting 1,000 charging. Ather is one of the newer companies, but it is backed by an older company. Which is the older company? Hero Motor. So Hero Motor for traditional petrol has Hero Motors. For the newer, it has Ather. Okay, so that's called having your foot in both the technologies, but it's fine. And Bounce is one of the newer companies. They're actually it's a clear startup, very very young startup. They more or less are dominating this entire technology of battery swaps. Very young engineers. There's a person called Vivekanand there. Dynamic. Why am I mentioning all this? If there are entrepreneurs amongst your students, don't feel scared of entering battery space. In 3 4 years, these people have done. All these were set up in 2018, 2019. Right? So, and they're able to do something. कुछ करके दिखाने में हिम्मत है. कर सकते हो. That's the only message on this. Next slide, please. What is the sum up? There is a Government of India policy for electric vehicles. FAME 1, FAME 2, CAFE, GST and tax incentives, which I've shown you. There's also PMP policies. This FAME 1, FAME 2 is almost exclusively for electric vehicles. So there are policies. The policies are for EV battery, for cell manufacturers. Cell manufacturing technology can be developed, courses can be given by a lot of educational institutes. For pack manufacturers. Pack manufacturers generate employment, be it big companies like Lucas Excite and Amar Raja, which I've shown, or for the newer startups. This space has both potential for employment generation as well as showing an engineering sense. Below that is EV components. A lot of the small scale industries who today feel a bit scared. मेरा धंधा क्या होगा? They can't start making EV components. Yes, it'll take time. Yes, they need machines. Yes, they have to be trained. But that's what it is. So this is one wing of the policy. The second wing is entire grid. Names like NTPC and Tata Power have entered this space, which means this grid operation is going to be there with larger companies also. We have charger manufacturers. I've shown you even the plug points which have to be filled. That is a huge opportunity for small scale industries. Then you have public charging, which I've shown, and home charging, which will certainly happen if they swap. I can't believe that in 3 5 years' time, that a cylinder size battery is there. People will go even 1 kilometer to get it swapped. You'll say, मेरा 400 घन मकान है मेरे फ्लैट में, वहीं आप करा दो. The companies will do. So this space is huge opportunity again for technology, again for manufacturing, and most important, for service. We have all the big OEMs, I mentioned several names, and they go to all kinds of customers. The fleet operators are adopting it the most, public transport, and finally only retail will come. If I have to buy it for myself, I'll think 100 times. I'll say, wait, let me see. Let's see what, which is normal. But the fleets, big companies, 10 गाड़ियां ले रहे हैं, एक गाड़ी EV का ले लो, will definitely buy. It's normal. A big fleet operator, he'll say, 20 गाड़ियां ऐसी, 2 गाड़ी ले लो EV की. They will do. It's normal. So that's how the shift will be. Those people will need data science, BMS. They want the data science, even specifically. So if you look at EV vehicle system, the focus will continue to be in and around battery. But in terms of engineering, it offers huge scope for design, for manufacturing, both small scale and large scale, for power distribution, for servicing, and for data science. So the whole landscape has opportunities. Right? Next slide, please. It is it has all the Indian OEMs. Of course, Hero had the, but look at the names. Mahindra is completely in it. Tata is completely in it. And let me share a statistic with you. In the last 3 months in EV cars, the biggest seller of EV cars is not Maruti, but our very own Tata. It's Atmanirbhar at its best. And that should give a quiet pride to every Indian. Whereas for normal cars, you had Hyundai and Ford and Daimler. When it comes to EV cars, the maximum sale of cars is actually Tata's. Right? This doesn't mean others are not there. Hyundai has already entered. It's a very luxury car. You sit in a Hyundai luxury car, you can't make out a diesel पे चल रहा है, gasoline पे चल रहा है, EV पे चल रहा है. They have, they have plush, all facilities like any luxury car. Because their principle is कौन झांकता है उसको उठा के. Who opens the hood and sees whether there's a diesel there or petrol there or electric there. Brilliant philosophy. Absolute luxury. I can't make out the difference. I've driven the diesel, the gasoline, and the electric vehicle. I couldn't make out a difference. It's absolutely soundless, goes at the same speed. You can drive in highways. It's charging, etc. A challenge that will be solved. And then for the buses, you have the new names, which will slowly. And here again, I want to mention what I said about 45 minutes back. The big names like Volvo are not here. The Tatas come in. And this is a geopolitical issue which will continue to face. Battery manufacturing is in Asia, China, Japan, Korea, India. It is not in Europe. The Daimler, BMW, Audi are not the names. The names are Tesla. Right? The traditional names are not there. The manufacturing of battery is in Asia. Earlier, the fuel was in the Middle East. We don't need Middle East. We don't need the Daimlers and the Audis and the Fords because we have our own. So there's a huge change which is happening in an entire ecosystem. And that's why I call this the electric vehicle ecosystem. Obviously, the established players will resist. 50 साल 7 साल 70 साल से उन्होंने गाड़ियां बनाई, fuel use किया, right? And now they find the shift is happening to Asia. Understandable. There will be a huge change. This does not mean they're not adapting. They're also, Tesla is a US-based company. BMW does have a green car. They're also changing, but the world is now a lot flatter. And we too have an opportunity in this new technology. And to the best of my knowledge, a lot of Indian entrepreneurs have entered this space. A huge opportunity for educational institutions. Next slide.
Sir, Tata has introduced e-Nano, or are they are working on it?
They have introduced 3 models of electric cars.
Nano version.
Yeah, all in this, I won't say nano version, they're in the sedan version. That is, they're equal to the earlier Maruti or i20 of Hyundai, the i20 version. They have one model which is in the kind of a luxury version, which is of limited sale, but the smaller or mid-sized car is now selling, especially in and around Pune and for short distances. I wanted to end with this.
Yes, sir. Tata
Say
next one is coming. Tata next one is coming in the electric version.
Yes. Let me again state, Tata is one company which says, and now Hyundai is also saying, all my models, I'll give you an electric version. I'll only say E before it. Whatever is the name. Hyundai is also starting that. i20 nahi bolunga, E i20 bol dunga. E i10 bol dunga. So Hyundai and Tata have mentally made that shift. All my models I'm going to give you in E version. Let the customer decide. Jo bikhega, bikhega. Right? And that's how the adoption is going to significantly change. in various ways. Okay. Now, can you go back to the slide, please? I wanted to tell the youngsters, give them a sapna, right? Electric air taxis are in India. For people who curse all the time about traffic jams, अरे अरे ऑफिस से घर पहुंचते पहुंचते 1 घंटे लग गए, 2 घंटे लग गए. And what's the base of the Sapna? The base of the Sapna is that a startup in Bangalore which has developed this. 2 people can sit on it, and it can go from my house parking space to the college or office parking space. Only thing, the parking space has to be in the terrace. Bas wahi farak hai. The government of India has given limited permission to use this, mainly for defense purpose. For example, if there's an earthquake and I have to go and pick up somebody, or I have to drop material in an earthquake or for floods, you can use it. But this is the dream I want you youngsters to think. People like me started my career using a bicycle. I was happy buying a bicycle. I मैंने bicycle ले ली. And then we all used Hamara Bajaj ka scooter. And my wife and I were thrilled we had a scooter immediately after marriage. And then the child was born, we had a car. Are gaadi aa gayi hai, gaadi hai. And my thought to you youngsters is, you are in a generation when you can think of an air taxi with an electric vehicle. And it's in India, developed by a startup in Bangalore, where I'm living now, where the government has given limited permission to use. Next slide, please. And therefore explore batteries. Jao, kar lo duniya muthi mein. The whole thing is in front of you. Be it science, data science, be it manufacturing science, be it engineering. The scope is unlimited because today India is at par with everyone else. There's no need for us that we're 50 साल हम लोग पीछे हैं. नहीं हम लोग 50 साल, maybe 5 साल पीछे है. 50 साल पीछे नहीं है इसमें. ये हमारे लिए मौका है. And therefore I'll end with a quote. Next slide, please. By one of our past presidents, you cannot change your future. जो होना है भविष्य में होगा. But you can change your habits. And surely your habits will change your future. एक मौका है. You can win if you want. And that's what my whole purpose of today's talk was. I hadn't realized I'd spoken for 1 hour 23 minutes here. And sometimes I keep yapping, no, what time chala jata hai, we say. What can I do? But yeah. You can win if you want. Because this is a battery. A new generation of vehicles are there. I studied engineering, mechanical engineering, because I wanted to know about diesel cars, diesel trucks, diesel 4-stroke engine, 6, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6 strokes, thermodynamics, laws of thermodynamics was fascinating. Today, the heart of the diesel engine is going to be replaced by battery. You're at a point of time when 3 generations of Indian vehicles will be on road. The old, very old BS1 vehicles, the very new BS4 vehicles with diesel or gasoline, and the absolutely new electric vehicles. ऐसा मौका कहाँ मिलेगा आप सबको? ऐसा मौका कहाँ मिलेगा? That you actually have a chance to build your future. You can win if you want. In कुछ 1.5 घंटे के शब्दों से, and before Dr. Chaubey tells me you are 90-minute talk, I'm just pulling your leg. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.
थैंक यू सर. आप कह रहे थे अभी हमें तो लग रहा था कि जस्ट हाफ एन आवर हैज elapsed since you started, and I must I think your lecture students must have learned lessons of humility as well as your simple and easy, eloquent way of discussing all the technical aspect. Sir, I really congratulate you for a very nice lecture.
Sir, it was a
Thank you
very
very, very much, Dr. Agarwal. It's my pleasure to be with you, and I enjoy MP. जब मैं आऊँगा भोपाल, आपके यहाँ आऊँगा
Yes, yes,
और
sir. Very much, sir. Very
I'll
much, sir. I
definitely
will
be,
be.
and also I
It
have
will be.
poha with jalebi
yes,
from
sir.
Indore और मालवा शबे मालवा में भोपाल के या भोपाल की लेक्स में बैठेंगे, ठीक है? So thank
Yes,
you
sir.
very much to all of you. With this, I इजाज़त दीजिए. I would like to leave now. Thank you to
Okay.
Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Bilod.
It will be our
Thank you,
pleasure.
Dr.
I will
Deepti,
keep
Dr.
in touch.
Professor Dheeraj, and Dr.
Thank you,
Chobi
sir.
for all the pressure I put on you at various points of time. So thank you very, very much. Dhanyavad
Thank
to
you.
all
Thank
Thank you
the
so much,
audience.
sir.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir.